Computer. All right. Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. It is this is Legacy and Impact, and welcome. It is November. What's the date? November 2nd. We are well into the final quarter of 2023, and oh, what an exciting time to be alive and to be pursuing wealth. It's interesting, Glenn, we're just talking about life insurance and IULs and all these tools that are out there, which are absolutely priceless from one perspective, but you really have to understand how they work, how they need to be set up in order for optimum performance. Because as we know, if you don't set things up correctly, guess what happens? They have the potential of either doing the opposite of what you want, or like Glenn was saying, blowing up is like, oh shit, not a good situation. So, but as always, it is a privilege and an honor to welcome everybody. These are exciting times. Hopefully everybody would agree. As we have a number of callers that are starting to reach out or dial in. Welcome Glenn in Illinois. Welcome Margaret out in California. I am in Mexico tonight. And we have a number of other people that are dialing in as I let them in. And cool, let's begin with anybody have anything exciting to share, anything to discuss, anything to announce, anything to throw a warning out there? Anybody have anything to share?
Well, for me, season's winding down. I got volleyball, high school volleyball super sectionals, and then college football game Saturday night, and then I'm done. Yay!
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that I heard a very wise coach on an internet clip the other day, and he was speaking with reference to his relationship with his son. And his son was speaking with him and bagging on his coach. And he said, you stop right there. He says, if you're talking about your coach, you go talk to your coach about your coach. You don't talk to me, right? Mm-hmm. You talk to me as your father when you screwed up and you need help, or you fall flat on your face and you want help getting back up, or, this is what's going on in my life. What do you recommend? But, once you embark on in a sports, program, those coaches are dedicating both their time and their expertise and their skills and their patience and all of that, willing to invest in individuals. And he says, you be a man, you go talk to your coach if you got a problem with him, and he will hopefully set you right. And he'll also respect you, when you approach him correctly. And in the same clip, what he was talking about was how it is bizarre how all of these parents of kids out there in youth sports, whether it's entry level or the higher up you go, and of course, all these parents have a frickin' opinion, and they're yelling and screaming at the coach and at the officials and all these different people, who are out there dedicating their time, or donating their time and their expertise for the benefit of those kids, so that they have the resources to advance and learn from the experience, right? And he says, these parents have zero right in yelling at any of these coaches. Number one, what is that teaching your kids? Number two, if you have something better, you get your ass out there and you do it, right? Mm-hmm. So, and, so again, and someone like yourself, who year after year after year dedicate both your experience, your time, your priceless time, to making sure that the kids our youth, the future of our country, have that infrastructure and support to learn through sporting programs. So I haven't said that to you lately, Glenn, but thank you very much for your contribution, right?
Well,
Because,
thank you.
there are layers, whether it's the military or whether it's law enforcement, first responders, people in youth sports, educators, for the most part, they all deserve our respect, because without them, what does the future really look like, right? Like I'm getting old, and every day I look in the mirror and I sense that what's going on. I'm no longer 40 years old. I'm no longer, in the prime of my life. I'm now advanced, which has incredible value. But the reality is that, torches are passed backwards, not forward, right? And so, but I'm just a little. I don't know if I saved that clip. I'm going to play a couple clips tonight. Hopefully I forwarded, because it was a worthy message that everybody really needs to hear. So, all right. Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Margaret. Anybody else join us? We want to welcome you. Anybody, Jeff, got anything to share about that you've discovered this week? Or I'm ready to dive into the information, the content that I have for tonight.
Well, this week I haven't done much. I've been absorbed in my work, where I work at. So that's, I still want to learn a little bit more about, the investment with the trust, and also how to do the infinite banking. But, I'd like to know more about the trust and stuff like that. But that's, it's been pretty quiet this week.
Got it, no problem. But again, and like I have so much respect for jobs, and I know that they are important, and occasionally they get the best of us, depending upon what season we're in. I know I had a very, very busy week. I'm going to share a little bit of some of the things that I was up against, and when I share what's going on from a tax perspective, from clients' perspective, my goal is to help people, right? Today I was working on somebody's tax returns from 2017 and 2018, and we're in 2023. So several years back, she had some stuff that she was dealing with, was really, really busy in business and a lot of different stuff, and got the best of her. And she had, oddly enough, done some gambling in that during that season. And the IRS eventually called her up and said, "Hey, you never filed for 2017. Like, we got the other stuff lined up." But she said, because she hadn't filed, there was some gambling money that wasn't accounted for. And of course, the IRS sees that as something that they need to go after. So we got in and we got all that sorted out. So again, with reference to our taxes, it's a pain in the ass from one perspective, but it's something that you definitely want to be on top of. Don't let too much time pass by without getting it taken care of. As we say with our clients, my goal and my objective is to keep you invisible to the IRS, right? So as soon as you don't file, or if you file something in error, there's a red flag that is then being waved in front of the IRS, and we can't really do what we need to do from that perspective. So if you're not up to speed with your stuff, get it up to speed. If you need any support or love, just reach out to me. Let me help you, because the situation is never as bad as you think. And, we can always put things in motion to make that work. So anybody have any questions?
How do you get that one down from 37%? Because that's what happened to me in 2012. I got a $2,800 for playing poker in a jackpot, and so I had to pay 37% on that. Can you bring it down lower on those?
Well, in general, the way the gambling rules work is Usually you're making money in a casino, and you can write off with expenses and losses the equivalent of the amount of money that you made. And they understand that how gambling works. And if you made a certain amount, chances are you lost that much as well. So you just got to file it accordingly, and then you put in losses that equal that. But you want to have your receipts, and you want to have some documentation. So whenever you go to a casino, if you're ever gambling, always keep your receipts, whether you win or whether you lose, because again, if you win, you can write off those losses. That makes sense?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So again, bottom line is keep your receipts, right? Keep track of it. You know, it's my father-in-law. He loves hitting the casinos. And again, there's great fun. My mom, when she was older, she loved it. Was a great place for pastime, as well as generate a little bit of money and hang out with her friends and get free drinks and eat food and entertainment. So there's a lot of value in it. But again, if you're at risk of making a bunch of money, which I've had a number of clients that have done exceptionally well, but usually they don't win the first time they go out, and so you have to offset your winnings with your losses. So all right, good evening Queen Sika, nice to see you, and got you logged in to our system there. Thanks for texting. And all right, so I'm going to do a screen share. I came across some clips today, and I really want to utilize these clips as a launch pad for conversation, right? And we got screen share, participants can see your screen. Instagram. Whoops. That's not what I wanted. Chats you sent. Okay. All right, that's the last one that I want to show you guys. But we had talked before about Wells Fargo. Okay, so Wells Fargo has officially pulled out of the mortgage industry, right? And watch this clip.
My dude, they're not going to let you do this. They have a plan in place already. Earlier this year, Wells Fargo, America's largest mortgage lender, backing out of the mortgage market. They decided they're not doing mortgages anymore. Just some context. Historically, Wells Fargo has dominated the mortgage lending industry with about twice the market share compared to their next largest competitor, JP Morgan Chase. Why are they doing this? What's going on here?
We're going to become a renter nation in this country.
We are going to be a nation of renters.
You look at the millennial base, they've come out, they have high debt in their education, they're putting off marriage. They want to be able to have flexibility in their work where they can just travel. They want a lock and leave environment. They choose not to buy.
Right, it's apparently our choice. We're choosing not to buy. Nothing at all to do with Wall Street buying up entire neighborhoods at a time. Also nothing to do with the fact that Taylor Morrison, one of America's largest home builders, saying that build to rent will comprise of nearly half of its business in the coming years. The plan going forward, instead of lending you money to buy a home, banks like JP Morgan are going to buy and build homes that they have no intention of ever selling to you. Unless we do something right now, we will own nothing. My dude, they're not going to.
Fascinating. Right? So that's why they're pulling out of the mortgage industry. When I first heard this, why would they do that? All right, but we talked a little bit about that as well, where also the insurance companies are, certainly for California, they're pulling out of the market in California. They're not renting or they're not going to be selling auto insurance because of the dangers out there. And the same thing will spill over into residential housing. right? And insurance for housing, right? Any comments about that? Does that make sense? Right?
It really doesn't make sense, but yeah, it's the way it's going. That's the agenda. Agenda 21. Well, you'll own nothing and you'll be
Well,
happy.
well, the interesting thing is this, and it stems from, I believe, two things, right? One thing is that the price of housing is so astronomical, certainly in California, in certain urban centers, right? And so if people can't afford houses, but they still need housing, right? So that's where, again, they come into the marketplace. And then as long as there's going to be they build the houses and they maintain them themselves. They issue the mortgage to themselves, right? And then that way they're able to structure better deals. The money still flows, and now it's paid for. They have new divisions within these companies that they will then be housing specialists as opposed to, selling mortgages. That's pretty simple, right?
So Stephen, I have a question. Would it behoove people to look for like duplexes and fourplexes to be buying and then renting out? I mean, or apartment buildings, or what's your thoughts on that as far as like buying
that is
for rental income?
Correct. That is the absolute market that everybody should be looking at. And I just had a client flew in from Texas, and we were laying out his strategy. He's getting himself set up with trusts. He's going to be doing life insurance, and with his resources, with his 401k and things like that. I said, if I were you, because he's in a unique market in Texas where there's still growth. There's a lot of growth going on. I said, go into your marketplace and start buying up fourplexes and structure a business with your son and have it be your primary residence for your son. Get one fourplex. He's in a $500,000 house right now. He doesn't need that big of a house. I said, with that, you can shift some of your stuff into storage. You put yourself and then rent your house out. Or you can sell it if you want, but rent your house out for a pretty penny, and then buy yourself a fourplex so that you live in one of the apartments, and then 3 of them can then be rented out, right? And again, the reason why you want to live in it yourself is because down the road, if it's been your primary residence for 2 years, then down the road you can sell that property for with no capital gains. $250,000 worth of capital gains are tax-free. If you are single, or if you're married, you can earn $500,000 tax-free, right? So that's why. So
does that also work with 5 units or more?
Yes, it can. It's easier with 4 units. The problem with 5 units or more is it's a commercial property. Right. So all of your insurance is more expensive. Usually you have to put more money down. With the fourplexes right now, as of mid-November, you can get in for 5% down, where traditionally with commercial loans, you have to put 10, 15, 20, as much as 30% down. So that's why. And again, and if you have those resources and you want to go that route, sure, you can. But I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go commercial, go for 10 doors or more, right? Because 5 is still relatively small, right? So, but that's a really good question, Margaret. Thank you for bringing that.
I'll let you do this. They have a plan, and
right. So let's see, close that.
Stephen, I have something else to share if it's not too late.
Yeah.
Just recently I have a PayPal account that I purchased. I use it every now and then to purchase something here, but anyway, I don't know if anybody's familiar with PayPal and their savings account, but they're paying 4.3% APY. It's compounded interest.
Wow.
So I put a little in savings, and just wanted to give everybody a heads up on that.
Yeah, that's great. 4%.
I appreciate that. That's
Yeah.
nice.
That's a very, and again, I appreciate that. And that's the value in just staying plugged in, because that's better than nothing. So it costs us nothing to set up an account like that. I have a PayPal account. I'm not really a big fan of PayPal, but that's a worthy thing to set up, because it's all part of it's all part of your preparation for the future. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? So if you have money to park somewhere, it's also a good story, right?
Is that FDI insured?
PayPal's probably. Just
I'll
need
have to look at that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think they only do 250 in the banks anywhere, 2,000, 250 or something like that, FDIC insured, but I'll have to look into that and see and find out what the answer to that is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Very good. So here's another clip. And again, I'm always looking and coming across stuff that there's mechanisms for making money or discovering money. Check this out.
He could have found that and said nothing. But honesty like that is hard to come by, and a reward would not hurt. The crazier part is one of those $20 bills could be worth over 1,000 and not only 20 bucks. Did you ever notice on the serial number of a $20 bill, they always end with a letter? Most of you probably didn't even know that, because who would think to even look at that? After this video, you're going to check every single one. So if one of the serial numbers end with a letter, for example, this one is C, but if you go down to the other serial number on the other side and it ends with a different letter, then it's called a mismatched block error. This one sold for $1,200. That one sold for $1,500, sold for $2,000, sold for almost $2,000 again. I hope this makes you look at your $20 bills differently. Now,
right? So just pay attention to all of those 20s that are slipping through your fingertips, right? They may be worth a lot more than $20, right? And I'm sure that that's ultra rare, but wouldn't it be nice to discover something like that, right? It's interesting being down here in Mexico, because a lot of people receive US dollars. It's pretty entertaining. But then when they go to use them at the market, it's like they hold them up to the light to make sure that they're not counterfeit, or if there's any marks on them, they won't accept them. And it's like they're holding up these $1 bills and inspecting them to make sure they're not counterfeit. It's pretty entertaining. It's like I wouldn't do a counterfeit $1 bill, right? So
now hit
I
that
just checked the PayPal does right now. It's actually doing 5.30 APR guaranteed through 6/30/24. It's a high yield balance of $2,500 or more with a high interest rate, and it is FDIC insured for sure.
very good.
Nice.
Thanks for letting me know.
Quick on the research there.
Sure.
Check out this clip here. Okay. So, and again, there's a reason why I'm playing these clips for you, right? Because I from the personal development perspective, right? I encourage you all, and again, all of you guys are doing pretty good. The people that are plugged in tonight is plugging in on a regular basis, right? Because what I have learned through the years is my consistency is the determining factor in discovering, in growing, in learning, in supporting. All of these things are key elements in the journey, right? And so when one plugs in one week and the next week they don't plug in, or they wait a couple weeks and then they come back in, it's almost like the kiss of death for the entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur has to be consistent in performance and in pursuit, right? Otherwise, it's like the kid who, shows up for practice every now and then, and doesn't realize, but he shows up for every game, but he doesn't show up for every practice. Where are champions made, right? They're made in the training, they're made in the discovery, they're made in the commitment, they're made in that nonstop, right? So I applauded you guys for plugging in tonight and consistently, and that's one of the things that I really am going to be driving home, because that is the key, right? And also I want everybody to be bringing your pursuits, what you're doing on a daily basis, to the group, so that way everybody can grow and learn from that. So with that being said, let's learn about redwood trees.
My friend told me about this study they did a few years ago where they injected these beautiful redwood trees with a chemical similar to adrenaline, so that way the trees wouldn't go into hibernation. And these mighty trees that normally live for hundreds of years died within 1 year because they didn't have a season of wintering. And I think about us humans, the way we expect ourselves to be in constant spring, always blooming, always producing, always distracted, and not making time for those moments with the people we love or those moments with nature. Distraction is the death of art, but boredom is the birthplace of it. My friend told me about this study they did a few years ago where they injected these beautiful redwood trees with a chemical similar to adrenaline, so that way the trees wouldn't go into hibernation. And these mighty trees that normally live for hundreds of years died within 1 year because they didn't have a season of wintering. And I think about us humans, the way we expect ourselves to be in constant spring, always blooming, always producing, always distracted, and not making time for those moments with the people we love or those moments with nature. Distraction is the death of art, but boredom is the birthplace of it.
Powerful, huh? I don't know if you guys know the way redwood trees grow, but everybody familiar with the redwoods? The power and the strength, the age, the significance. The reason why redwood trees grow so tall, strong, and how they grow is because their root structure, they're oftentimes in coastal areas where they're exposed to extreme weather, but they stand for hundreds and hundreds of years because the grove, the way their roots grow, they grow down and then they grow outward. And the trees, their roots interlock, creating strength. Again, going back to the concept of, what is it? Not association, but my brain's the power of synergy. Okay, synergy, the strength of them working together is more powerful than them as individuals, right? And so you got to look at yourself and look at what you're creating, and how am I locking arms with either family members, associates, friends, again, your network through Legacy and Impact or other communities. How are you locking arms with individuals so that you can be stronger, so that when the seasons change, when the winds change, when the dry season comes, when the hostile weather comes, that you can continue to stand, right? That is the key. That is the key. And we can learn a lot from the redwoods.
I don't know if you know this or not, Stephen, but I was told this many years ago. As far as trees go, building a well or a circle around a tree when it's planted will ensure that the roots grow down and not out. That's why you see a lot of the sidewalks buckled up on the in the metropolis area. So they didn't build a well around the tree, and the tree, like I said, the roots didn't grow down to strengthen the tree, they grow sideways. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. I don't think a lot of people that plant trees know that.
Well, I would hope that the professionals do, but I do know that that it's obvious that there was a season when they were planting trees in a lot of the urban environments, and they were not taking any of that into consideration because the sidewalks get destroyed, literally, and or the types of trees that they plant are surface roots as opposed to ones that go deep. But very cool. Thanks for sharing. And again, something to think about. All these things are something to think about. Check this out.
Here's a secret that the IRS doesn't want you to know. Tax code 7702A, 101A, and 72E. It's the tax codes found in life insurance, and the same tax codes the Rockefellers used for 7 generations to continuously build generational wealth. Of course, the IRS would prefer you to put your money in the 401k because they love collecting the penalties when you cash out too early, and they love collecting taxes every time you withdraw money. And once you pass it down to your children, they love collecting more on your kids. So what's the solution? Learn how to take advantage of the tax codes that favor you and your family. Shelter your money from taxes, accumulate your wealth tax-free, and transfer wealth tax-free through these life insurance codes.
Now, what's interesting is that there are 2 ways for you to actually build a tax-free retirement income. One is by leveraging a Roth IRA, and the other is leveraging cash value life insurance policy. The major difference between the 2 is that with the Roth, you can put in a maximum of $7,000 a year, depending on your age, but you can't necessarily take that money out anytime you want until you're 59 and a half. While with the cash value life insurance, you really don't have a set limit. It really all depends on how the policy is structured. And the beautiful thing with the cash value policy is that you can access your money anytime you want without any penalties. But regardless of which option you choose, the key is find a way to reduce your tax liabilities by the time you get to retirement.
I love hearing people say the same stuff that I say. Right. It's so funny. So, but again, that is the foundation of what we're doing. So please, everybody, now is the season. Okay. Now is
Stephen,
not. Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard this for the last 10 years. I think at minimum is they always say to buy term and not whole life, which whole life obviously has got cash value, but why do they always say buy term versus whole life then?
I don't know.
I've been hearing this from many, many people for many years.
Because they're unlicensed people that don't know what the heck they're talking about.
Correct. Well, hold on. No, there is value in all things. Okay. There's value in all things. There's value in eating a McDonald's hamburger if you're really hungry, right? But again, you can spend $20 on food at McDonald's, or you can go drop $20 for a really, really good, high quality steak. Which one has the more nutritional long-term value, right? So that's how you have to look at it. So is term insurance good versus whole life? Term insurance is better than nothing, but the unfortunate reality is that if you don't pay anything, if you don't pay into it, you get nothing from it. Okay. And so there's with insurance, and we talked about this last week, there's 2 different types of values. There's death benefit and then living benefit. Okay, which is the things that kick in the event that something happens to you while you're alive and your income is affected by it, right? But the people that say, again, the wealth gurus, because there are wealth gurus that say whole life insurance is not a good deal. You should just buy term life insurance and then take the money that you would normally put into your whole life and put it into something else, right? So it's an either or scenario, right? But the value that I like with life insurance is you can leverage it immediately. You can access it immediately. There's short-term benefits, long-term benefits, cash value, dividend value. But for me, what I love most about it is its educational value, right? It's geared towards setting up a machine. And I don't know if you've ever been to a factory before, like a factory that's just cranking things out, pumping whether it's food products, or whether it's tennis shoes, or whether it's industrial compounds or whatever. But when you go into a factory, it's like big and go right. And you see, that's the way life insurance works. Okay. So again, if you're going to do term life, it's like there's not very much value in the life insurance. The real value is in taking your money and throwing it into something that's guaranteed to increase in value. That's the deal. Where when you have a machine, it's generating money and giving you access to money, so that way, when you want to do something, you don't have to sell anything. You can literally start utilizing your death benefit when there's actual value, when it's leveraged, when you can leverage it, right? And again, what's the value of real estate? Buying real estate, it can generate passive income. It appreciates. You can depreciate it, and you can amortize it. But more importantly, you can leverage it. Okay, that's the real value with real estate, is it can be leveraged. You can borrow against it in order to get more properties, right? Your death benefit can be leveraged if it's in a whole life policy, and it cannot be leveraged if it's just a term. Does that make sense? So, but there is value. There is value across the board. All righty. I don't hear anything, but I trust.
Yes. Yeah, I got you. I heard you.
Got it. So here's another guy that I listen to. Again, and again, part of it is everybody on the call, including myself, we're constantly collecting information. This is how we learn. And so, or we'll get a tidbit, we'll get an iota of information that then is a worthy pursuit to collect more. And again, I applaud Jeff, because Jeff has been going down the path of learning about corporate entities, learning about the structure, learning about the value, learning about how to do a holding company, how to do LLC, all of this sort of stuff, because you can only learn it by going through the process of collecting information, and then you learn it by doing it, by applying, right? So listen to this guy.
The Rockefellers are one of the most powerful, richest elite families in the world. John D. Rockefeller was the guy who really blew up the entire oil industry in America. And what they do, and the reason why they're still one of the wealthiest and most powerful families on the planet 7 generations later, is because of something called the Rockefeller waterfall method. The Vanderbilts were just as powerful and actually had more money than them. They blew all of their money by the 4th generation. The Vanderbilts literally are not even part of the conversation anymore. What is the waterfall method? The waterfall method is every single individual of the Rockefeller family got a very large life insurance policy put on them. The beneficiaries of those life insurance policies always tied back to the trust. And then inside of the trust was a cash value life insurance policy, which is used as the family bank. Now the family bank is inside the trust, so it acts as like a family vault. Now all the family members can take loans from the cash value life insurance throughout their whole life. And with every single generation, the family trust just keeps getting poured in with more and more and more and more money, therefore making the family richer and more powerful, therefore creating generational wealth.
This is legit, Zebra verified. But the concept here is pretty complex. And if you do it the wrong way, you can actually end up hurting yourself financially rather than helping. So what I did is I put together an entire YouTube video covering the strategy and how to actually put it into practice in your own life. And if you're interested in checking that video out, all you need to do is send me the word Rockefeller so I can send you the link.
Right. So again, these guys are marketing, but that right there is the exact program, the exact process and trust that I am setting people up with. So you have instant access because of your connection to legacy and impact to all of the tools that you need to create wealth, assuming that you really want to do it, right?
I mean, my thoughts, I mean, I like J. Paul Getty's strategy because he knew that the family would actually go through all the inheritance. So he actually figured how to use arts and stuff for tax depreciation, and he let the family build the structure so they could get paid because they would only get 20% of what the business would grow. So I think he did a better structure than the Rockefeller. Rockefeller's just using insurance, which is great. Nothing wrong with the insurance policies. But I still feel that if you want to leave a legacy, the most important legacy is to teach people how to work and how to work with each other to build your foundation and to keep it going. That's what I feel that's actually better.
Correct. Well, education, absolutely. I mean, I'm very excited about being able to teach my kids about everything that I'm learning. Again, it's all geared towards, that's the value of legacy and impact. This is about you building your legacy, right? But more, it's less about you, but more importantly about those you are going to inherit, who are going to inherit it, your beneficiaries, and then your children's children, your children's children's children, right? But just assuming that it's going to happen or do it by itself is naive, right? So there needs to be discipline, there needs to be programs, there needs to be knowledge, and if somebody wants something, they have to understand that there's sacrifice and there's commitment in order to access it. So very good.
Well, I think the one I really want to watch is Berkshire Hathaway. They're still alive, so they're still kicking. But when they do pass, I want to see how they're building their structure. I mean, I'm sure that that's a big empire, and that's actually going to continue on way, way before anything else, any of their families even think about dying off. Because that's a big. Berkshire Hathaway.
Oh, okay, got it. Warren Buffett.
Yeah, because there's a lot of money there within that structure. And they're still alive, so they're not talking about how that structure is being built. But I'm sure that they have the insurance policy behind that one there too. But that one's such a big, powerful play as a business. I'd like to see how that one's going to happen when they pass away.
Well, Warren said he's not planning on leaving it to his family, right? So, and
really,
yeah, to my understanding, and in the entertainment business, I used to. I don't know where she is now, Mary Buffett, who is his daughter-in-law, who's married to one of his kids. And so there was a separation between what he was going to leave them. And, obviously they're very comfortable, but the majority of it was, as my understanding, is going to be left not to the family. So, but time will tell.
Thanks for letting me know that. I didn't know.
And again, it's worthy. All this stuff is worthy pursuit, So, but the most important thing is that we're all building our own legacies, right? So, thought that was fascinating. Here's another. Pay attention to this one here. This is a good one.
The secret mountain hideaway that the government will pay you to invest in. Let's go. Want to know how to invest in one of the most beautiful states in the union and the government will pay you to do it? Here's how. First thing you want to do is go to opportunityzones.hud.gov. Next, this map of opportunity zones will pop up. Scroll on down to the drop-down menu. Go ahead and click that and then find your state, which I'm going to pick Montana. Next, I want you to scroll over to programs and boards. Go ahead and scroll on down to opportunity zones. And boom, there's the map. You want to learn how to invest across this great nation from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the mountaintops to the beaches. Just comment the word snow down below, and I'm going to send you a link to my next free training. The secret.
So again, opportunityzones.hud or .gov. He had another clip that I wanted to play. I thought that was it, but it's not.
Is that part of staking the government land? So you go out there and put a stake in it and put your name in it on a little.
No, No, what these guys are doing is they're just making, there are designated opportunity zones in the United States. In California, the city of Ontario was designated as an opportunity zone. And so there's usually areas where there's been a decline in business and they want money to come in, and because there's infrastructure in that. So I don't know the specifics of what this guy's referencing when it comes to places like Montana. I was attracted to his information because it has to do with accessing government programs, and the government programs, you can buy remote government lands and the government will fund it for you, right? They'll give you mortgages, and if you want a homestead or go out there and buy some land that already has a property on it. Watch this.
The secret to buying a building the government owns using their money. Let's go. As always, head over to Google, punch in $45 billion fund. The first headline, White House opens $45 billion in federal funds. All right, you're gonna get some major tax incentives as well as access to over 20 federal programs. And you can use those funds to convert offices into multi-family housing. If you wanna learn how to buy these properties in areas that give you the biggest bang for the buck, just comment the word fund down below, and I'm gonna send you a link to my next virtual training. The secret to buying a building.
So again, there's no shortage of people online that are selling stuff, selling courses, whatever. I'm all for collecting free information. And usually if you watch enough of their clips, you can get the gist of what their direction is, right? Make sense? All right. And I'm going to play one last clip here. One last clip. This one here I thought was absolutely priceless, because coming back to zero is the most important thing that we can do on a regular basis, right? So many people think, oh, I'd love to do this, but as soon as you say but, it negates everything that you said before. I really want to buy real estate, but I don't have this and I don't have that, right? So as long as, it's like, I want to do this, but I really want to do this, but my job, I wanted to be on the call, but as soon as you say but, now you're making excuses, right? And excuses only satisfy the individual who's making them. Then nobody else buys into any of that BS. So make sure that you, within the context of who you are in your life, in your kid's life, all of that, is you're at a place of excellence. So again, if you're going to plug in this week, you make for damn sure you make sure you're here next week, right? And again, if you want to bring value to other people, including yourself, invite some other people, whether it's somebody that's close to you, a stranger, a business partner, an associate, or somebody that you just care about, right? Because by moving people forward into the education zone, into the education, so that way their brains can be triggered, the seeds can be planted, you'll be blown away with what's going to happen with you in your life, right? So watch this clip, and then we're going to dive into some more information. So, okay, watch this.
There's a 20 phrase in life that says this: the best things in life are what? Are free. The best things in life are free. So your expensive baseball bat costs lots of money. Playing for a travel organization on double major is not cheap. Lessons with your coaches, private lessons, is not cheap. All that is costing your mom and dad lots of money, right? But some of the things that are going to better are free. Push-ups, sit-ups, planks, sprints, lunges, right? All free. But what's crazy about youth baseball is we all want the stuff that's expensive, and we undervalue the stuff that's free that actually will make us better. Push-ups will make us stronger. Sit-ups will make our core tighter and stronger. You understand? You guys need to start buying the free stuff. Buy the free stuff, and then the expensive stuff will work better. You do push-ups and get stronger here and here. You do your sit-ups and get stronger here. The expensive that will hit the ball farther. Your coach will then want your name to line up more. Your team will win more games, and then everybody is pumped up. Does that make sense? So the lesson today is this: start buying the free stuff. Stop worrying about the expensive stuff. Make sense? All right. Good work. Let's go. Don't make drop free. Very nice.
Good coaching. Could you guys hear that okay? Did you get the gist of it?
Hear it
Yes.
loud and clear.
Okay. So ultimately what he's saying is the expensive bat has value, but it's not as important as the other things. The coaching, the extra coaching, the all of this stuff that costs money, we oftentimes think that is going to give us the advantage. And the reality is it's not. It's doing the free things. It's doing the hard stuff that you can do by yourself in your private, whether it's push-ups or sit-ups or jogging, that is going to strengthen your mind. It's going to strengthen your body so that way, when you do get into the environment, when you do get into the environment where you can perform and you can get recognized, when you're playing the game, that's when it's really going to pay off. Okay, it's the fundamentals that you do consistently, day after day after day, week after week after week. Your level of participation, your commitment, how you show up for you first and foremost is going to make the difference of how you show up for your family and all your goals and dreams. That's what he's saying, right? And again, that's excellent coaching. So many times we think that it's going to be some magic fairy dust, and it's never going to be the fairy dust. It's always going to be waking up early. It's always going to be making that extra phone call or doing the thing that we don't want to do long after, above and beyond what everybody else is doing, right? Does that make sense? I like the fact that he asks them, does that make sense too? Because
Yes.
right? Because I remember I was in a coaching or in a training event, and the man in front of the room, the coach in front of the room, he's probably speaking to 200, 300 people, and everything he was saying made sense. And so it's easy to do, but it's easier not to do. And with each question that was an obvious yes, he would ask that question. Does that make sense? It's like, as long as you truly want what you say you want, doesn't it make sense that you would do this as opposed to this, right? So we've been talking a lot about trusts. We've been talking a lot about life insurance. We've been talking a lot about real estate. We've been talking a lot about these windows of opportunity. And the reason why each one of those things is important is because right now our world is in transition, right? You can see it literally before your eyes, depending upon who you're listening to. Somebody said that November 1st was going to be the most significant day of the next 5 years. I'm not sure what happened or didn't happen, but I think they were wrong. But it doesn't mean that big shit isn't happening, right? Questions about anything? Comments about anything? Good evening, Andre.
Well, yeah, I actually do study this a lot. And like I said, I'm taking this course, and it kind of seems like what you're talking about is your success. How do you make your success and which way it's going? And so I got this video that I was actually watching this morning because I'm taking this course from this guy, and we're right at the point where what you're talking about. So if there's any way I could actually share or share a screen and show you just like a minute or two of what the concept that he's trying to bring to people and stuff like that.
Hang on, let me see.
I mean, I could probably just do audio, but if there's any way, because I've got 3 screens going on here, so it depends on which screen it's set up on.
Hang on. How do I do this? Participants.
But we could do audio if it doesn't work that way.
No, I know how to do it. Screen share. Multiple participants can share simultaneously. Okay. So, Jeff, you want to see if you can hit your screen share?
You can really. Let me see. So where do I go into more?
Down below, does it say screen share for you?
No, it does not. Let's see, there's more. Let's see what more says. It says show chat preview record on this computer. No, it does not. But let me ask you a question. Just be quiet for a second. Let's see if you can hear this. If you can hear this.
Truly have the right success strategy if you don't have all three. Now, you might disagree with me on that, but
do you hear that?
Yeah, perfectly. No problem.
Okay, so we'll just go by audio. So listen to this just for about a minute or two.
But hey, give me your opinion when it's time for you to give me your opinion. Because I think you got to have all three. Now, if you want success in business, you need to focus on getting all three. So let's go through all three. Earlier, I said specialized knowledge. Why specialized knowledge is important? Because you have to learn the specific things that are relative to your success in business. So when I say specialized knowledge, for example, if you want to learn about real estate and you want to be a successful real estate investor or agent or in any area or industry, getting the general knowledge can enlighten you. Understanding the world of real estate can enlighten you. It can make you aware of a lot of things. It can open you up. But if you don't get specialized knowledge in certain things that you know you want to target to do, that specialized knowledge is probably going to include contracts and paperwork and who needs to be involved in certain aspects of deals and how things need to be worded and how do you structure certain deals. If it's in business, just getting general knowledge about business is not going to necessitate or guarantee your business success. All right. But if you get specialized knowledge in business, meaning that if you start breaking certain knowledge down about business, how to structure my business, what type of structure I want, how to utilize systems and technologies and automations, how to specifically work on developing the right products and services, packaging them right. All of these are specific, specialized areas in business that if you don't understand and you just start a business and you think you're going to go out there and make a lot of money and build a business, you're going to find yourself failing and you're going to find yourself frustrated. So again, the first part of strategy is knowledge, and I would say specialized knowledge. So there are certain areas in business that are specific to what you do that you need to become extremely knowledgeable on, okay? Even when it comes to the type of products and services that you sell in your business, I think you should focus on being more of a specialist than a generalist. Now, a lot of people don't like branding themselves or marketing themselves, or in my words, positioning themselves in the marketplace for certain specialized areas because they think it's going to close them off to other opportunities when I think it gives you more of a demand. It really gives you more of a demand. It's kind of like walking into a hallway and there are like 5 doors and all the doors are painted black and then this one door is painted red. And then the one door that's painted red has on it, you can only come in here if you meet this criteria of A, B, C, D. And then the other 4 doors are like anybody can come in, right? When you get in that hall and you look at those 5 doors and you see the 4 black ones and then the 1 red one, even if you walk in the 4 doors that you can easily walk in. In your mind, you thinking, man, I wonder what's behind that red door. Wow, man, in order for you to get in that door, you got to meet this criteria, A, B, C, D. Is at least going to make you think that there must be some more value to that red door than there are to the 4 doors. Are y'all understand what I'm saying? So getting specialized knowledge on how you're structuring your business, how you're packaging your products and services, how you're integrating the right systems and processes, you got to get specialized knowledge. Don't just get general knowledge, because the general knowledge, if you got it and everybody else has it, it's not going to give you the leverage that you need or the competitive advantage you need to get out into the marketplace and make a splash and make an impact. And it's not going to set you up to really have strategy. So everything that you do in business, everything that you do in your finances, it should be built around having the right strategy. Number one, that's a part of having knowledge that is specialized, specific knowledge. Don't just be around here gouging. You never get specialized knowledge about certain things that you might not see on the surface, okay? Number two, discipline. Discipline. This is about daily habits. So you can become the most knowledgeable person about anything in the world. But if you ain't got no discipline, if you ain't got no discipline, you ain't gonna last long in this game. Okay? You're not gonna last long in this game. And I want you to understand there's a difference between discipline and execution. Discipline, we're just talking about you developing daily habits, you getting in the habit and building a mental and a physical or a financial and professional muscle to do certain things consistently over long periods of time. So a lot of people, they get knowledge about certain things. Business, they get knowledge about sales and marketing. They get knowledge about products and services. They get knowledge about entrepreneurship. They get knowledge about investing. And what happens? They get all that knowledge, and because they're not disciplined, they don't have the daily habits to stick with it long enough to get results. So over the course of time, they burn out. Over the course of time, they check out. I always tell my students and my mentees, especially my mentees that I talk to on a weekly basis, always tell them, if all you do is just keep showing up consistently over long periods of time as an entrepreneur, you're going to beat out most entrepreneurs, even if they're your competition. You're going to beat them out just showing up, because you might not be the smartest entrepreneur. You might not have the best products and services. You might not have all the resources and money to support your marketing and your exposure. But I promise you, I am living proof. I'm living proof that if you're just willing to get the knowledge and then get disciplined to show up and be consistent over long periods of time, you're going to beat out most of your competition. This is one of the reasons why 9 out of 10 businesses fail over time, because they can't hang in there long enough. And it's not just because they ain't got the money or the working capital or people ain't buying their products and services. It's a lot of times because they don't have the right knowledge, number one, but then they don't have the right discipline. They don't have daily habits. So I know entrepreneurs who are doing things similar to what I do. And they started out with me thinking about doing a lot of things that I started doing. And they fell off within a month or two. They fell off within a year or two. And I'm still grinding. I'm still holding on. There are things that I wanted to do 20 years ago when I started my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't have the money to do. I didn't have the resources, the connections. I really didn't even have all the knowledge. But one thing I did have was the discipline to show up every day, because I always felt like struggling as an entrepreneur is better for me than struggling as an employee. Amen. So I would rather struggle as an entrepreneur than as an employee, because I'm gonna struggle either way. And everybody's not built for that. But again, I'm talking to y'all who want to be free financially, you want to build a successful business, then you got to get specialized knowledge. You can't keep thinking you're going to eat like when you just follow people on social media and watch a lot of YouTube videos, because I do it too now. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, I follow people on social media, but even though I watch a lot of YouTube videos and I follow people on social media, I have a mentor, I have a couple mentors, I have people that I pay to take courses from. I do all that stuff too, but my point is I do it for specialized knowledge. I'm not just getting general information. Like I'm not there's a lot of stuff about business and investing and entrepreneurship that I don't know nothing about. You know why I don't know nothing about it? Because I'm not paying attention to it. I'm paying attention to get knowledge in specialized areas that I know fit the criteria for what I want to accomplish in my life. If something is needed, then I pull it in. All right. But then you got the discipline. You got to get discipline. And most of the time, if you get more knowledge, you will become more disciplined. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why I'm a teacher at heart. I love to teach people. Like I've always been a teacher since I've become an entrepreneur and a preacher. That is just something that came natural to me, teaching people, right? But here's what I've learned as a student, and here's what I've learned as a teacher. If you don't have discipline, if you don't have financial discipline, but if you start getting knowledge about finances, it will influence your discipline. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you don't always have to have the discipline before you get the knowledge. Because I hear people say, well, I'm just not ready to start taking courses yet. I'm not ready to get mentored and coached yet. What you're saying is, I'm going to wait until I'm disciplined and have better habits before I get knowledge. You're doing it backwards. You should get the knowledge. The knowledge will influence and provoke you to get disciplined. Because you hear people always say, when you know better, you do better. So a lot of times you're not going to do better if you don't know better. So if you stay undisciplined, it's probably because you stay ignorant. You're not knowledgeable. So I would say, start getting the knowledge, start learning, start educating yourself about the things that are going to benefit you being successful. You shouldn't just be listening to everything. You need to focus on what's going to get me more money, what's going to get me most successful, what's going to help me grow my business. All that other stuff I'm not worried about. There are other people who know that stuff. I don't need to know that. I need to know enough to start making money, getting successful, and growing as a person and for my business or my finances. Then it's going to influence my discipline. And then the next part of strategy is execution. Now you got to be willing to execute. Listen, if you're watching this show, I'm talking about the critical key to business success.
You want to hear more, or is that good enough?
That's good enough. That's good enough. So that's excellent. That's excellent. So, and again, those are the fundamentals. That's the basis, and everything that he's talking about. Again, we recommended this. If you have not read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that is the rich man's Bible. So please everybody write that down. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read it this year, pick it up and read it again, because it's the fundamentals, right? Specialized knowledge, discipline, burning desire. There are 13 disciplines that are absolutely required to be successful. So cool. Anybody have any questions about anything that was included in that, or is it relatively clear, right? The most important thing, like he's talking about, is specialized knowledge. That's why I ask, I don't want to tell anybody what to do. You should be drawn towards something that's in your spectrum that you want to pursue. Again, whether it's real estate or cryptocurrency, or selling products through a business or through network marketing, or I want to be a pilot. I want to own real estate. I want to be in life insurance. I want to be in one of the wealth industries. Something, every one of you on this call need to have a pursuit and a passion that gets you out of bed in the morning, right? Because once you've got that, now it's like, now you have something that you can apply those specialized skills or pursue, or say, hey, this is what I need. Where do I find it? And what's the adage, right, from the Bible? Seek and ye shall find, knock and the door will be opened, right? It's all there. Everything's available to you. Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff. All right, last thing here. I had a client come down. We've been having a number of clients. I have another client coming in on Sunday. We had some the other day, and they're coming in to spend some time with me to do some personal training, some strategy. It was great. I was hanging out down at the beach, one of the most beautiful beaches I've ever been in the entire world, and spending some time with one of my clients as we're hanging out in the aqua blue waters of the Yucatan. And as I said to him, I said, right now, you're experiencing something that 3 months ago you didn't even know was possible. There's a truck driver, spent his whole life driving a truck, been married a couple times, got a kid, getting close to retirement, lots of goals and dreams, lots of things that he wants to do. But his spectrum, his world has been well defined, and he spends most of his time in a truck over the last 30 years. That's what he's done. So as we're hanging out, I said, the reason why you're here is because God's opening up doors. My job in the equation is to open up opportunities and mindset and thoughts and knowledge that you don't even know is possible, right? As we were getting him set up with his trust and with his life insurance, all the questions, all the doubts, all the concerns, all the yeah, but, right? Whenever you hear yourself saying, yeah, but, that's the roadblock, and you got to remove that. There's absolutely.
Okay, can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
I can hear in my own brain me saying, yeah, but. So how do you get out of that habit? And what can we do? What's our alternative? What's the alternative to saying that, Stephen? Do you have any idea?
Yeah. So again, the first thing is awareness, right? Is you have to understand that there are certain words in all languages, in the English language, that are words of power and words of weakness, right? So whenever you say but, it's a word of weakness. It negates everything that happened beforehand, right? So we don't live in an either or world. We live in an and world, okay? So you replace the word with but, the word but with and, okay? I don't have any money,
okay.
It sounds like a great idea. That sounds great to be able to buy real estate, and I need to figure out how to do that. Right?
Okay, thank you.
It's very simple. It's because when you say but, it stops you dead in your tracks. But when you say and, it's leading you somewhere. Like it's like the word yet. Yet is the most powerful word in the English language, right? I don't have a multi-million-dollar home yet, but I'm moving forward. I'm going in the direction of. I don't have a jet yet. Or do you have a jet? Not yet, but I'm working towards that. I'm getting it. It's in the process. Again, the process begins by us saying, this is the direction that I'm going in.
Is it kind of like when you hear someone say, oh, if, and then they'll say, no, 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 let me correct myself. When?
Correct.
Is it kind of like that? Is that what you're talking about?
Correct. If is a word of weakness. When is, it's not a question of if, but a matter of when. Because where the power lives is in your commitment to bring it to fruition, right? My commitment is every Thursday at 6 p.m. I will be on this call.
Can I throw a little bit extra to that one?
Yeah, sure.
Because what I do is when I hear myself saying a negative thought, which is a lot, is I try to play a game with myself to learn newer words. You know, we got all computers things, we're hooked up to the internet. So all you got to do is take that negative thought and ask for more positive words that associate with what your negative is. Okay, so you're going to find the positive words, even though you're thinking negative. You're throwing in the positive words, so then you will read it back to yourself what you already said, and so you're already planting the seed of the positive words, and eventually you'll get rid of the negative words because you have to work on getting rid of the negative words, and it also helps you figure out, why am I thinking negative all the time? I mean, I have friends that tell me that, Jeff, you're always on the negative side. It's because the way life has always treated me, that I always look at the negative first before the positive. I always, and I still do today, I still feel that I put my guard up to protect myself, so I know where the negative is, and that does a psychological thing to myself, to me. So I've learned to work that around and make the positive words come out instead. Even though the negative comes up first, which is what a wall that I put in front of myself to protect myself, I always know that that's my negative, and that's what I need to work on. And when I say, when you're trying to look for the positive words, you look for the things that are actually flowing for you. So then you make rhymes out of it, you make sentences out of it. They're more positive. And then when you try to speak it out loud, you're saying your positive words to you. But I never forget the negative, because I'm always looking at what's going to happen if I do it the wrong way. So that's just me. But I know God's taking care of me, but I have to learn that one slowly.
Cool. Excellent. And it's about learning how to ask the questions. Don't tell yourself, I can't afford that. You say, how can I afford that? That sounds great, but I can't afford that. No, that sounds great. And how can I afford that? How can I figure it out? Right. And when people come to me again, and it may be I'm a little familiar with your circumstances, right? So oftentimes people say, I really want to do that, but I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have this. And then you start looking at the resources that you do have, right? Because we don't always have cash value in hand that allows us to pursue, but oftentimes we have other things of value, and it might be services, or it might be like a motorcycle in my garage, or a bicycle, or something that it's not serving me. And that's where, with legacy, one of the most important things that we can all do on a consistent basis is to be taking inventory of the things in our lives, the things that we have that bring value to us, or the things that we have that are of value, but we're not using anymore, right? And, or what are skill sets that allow us to bring value to other people, whether that's leadership, or the ability to teach someone, or be able to sing, or be able to make things, construction. We all have different things of value, right? So, and if money is an issue, what I recommend people do is figure out a short-term solution to generate some extra income, right? Because extra income comes in the form of, this week I'm going to drive Uber, right? Or I'm going to get a part-time job, or I'm going to sell something from my home or offer it to my friends, and that may be baked goods, or it could be I offer cleaning services, or it might be I can drive Uber, or drive for Uber Eats, or some of those services. And if I make $50 a week for the next 6 weeks, doing something that I wasn't going to do, that's an extra $300, right? And so what happens is when we add extra money to our economy, now we start to feel better and we have more resources. Right. So again, the average person, if they are doing Uber, should be able to yield approximately $300 to $500 extra per week. Over 6 weeks at $500 per week, that's an extra $3,000. And with $3,000 of money that is now available to you, you could completely transform your finances by learning about investing and doing simple things consistently, right? But again, how do you make $3,000 extra? Or $2,000 extra? Or $1,000 extra? How do you do it? $1 at a time. Do something that you're currently not doing. And again, if you need help with that, reach out to me and I'll help you find some things, right? I remember we were in a situation where there were a few things that had changed. And all of a sudden I had extra space in my house. And it was a season where rent was a little tight. And again, because we all deal with that, you know, where sometimes money flowing in is a little more scarce than we would like, right? And my wife said to me, she said, why don't you rent the room upstairs on Airbnb? And it was scary concept for me. I knew other people that were doing Airbnb, but I had no experience. So what did I do? I said, oh, okay, well, yeah, how do I do that? I jumped online to YouTube and I watched how to prepare, you know, a place on, you know, for Airbnb. Another friend of mine rented a room in his house over in Whittier, and I called him and I said, hey, how do you do this? What's been your experience? I started collecting enough information. And it's relatively simple. You set up an account on Airbnb. You take some pictures of the room. And again, this is several years back. It was different. The market was different and marketing was different then. But I literally put my room on Airbnb. It was en suite, so it had its own bathroom and that attached to it, and it was nice, and it was a fairly spacious room. And the first day that I posted it, I had a renter that day, right? And after that, it just kept growing and growing and growing. And again, looking for a spiritual connection, as I often do, the first person that stayed in our place was, his name was Christian. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Right. So when you're leading with God and God is opening up doors for you, you have to be a little bit bold and courageous. But it began with a challenge. Hey, why don't you do this? And what do you think my initial thought was? Oh, I don't know. Sounds complicated. Do I really want to do that? All the negative stuff, just like Jeff was talking about, right? The negative is always going to be our leading thought, always going to be our leading thought, right? Think negative shit and do it anyhow, right? Why do you think we always come from a negative position? You guys are all muted. Why do you think we always come from a negative position?
Fear.
Not necessarily.
Could be our conditioning from our childhoods.
Correct. Because we are told, and again, this is where the terrible twos come from, right? Those of you who are familiar with that term, the terrible twos, I love 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. But most people hate them. Why? Because in the first year, the first 18 months of a child's life, we're literally giving them everything that they want. They want this, they want that, they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that. And all of a sudden, when they start expecting certain things or demanding certain things, and now we are told no. And from then on, we're always wanting things, and then the no is usually the response. So 9 out of 10 times the answer is going to be no, and we become conditioned with the negative. And that bleeds over into our consciousness. So whenever we think a creative thought, when you're a kid, you're always thinking creatively. Samuel said to me today, he said, Daddy, will you help me think of something to do? Right? They didn't have school today because it was a holiday and that whole thing. And they'd come back. And when you're 6 years old, I want to do something, but what can I do? Right? My first instinct is, go away, I'm busy, I've got a lot of work, I'm working on some stuff, right? But I catch myself, I constantly catch myself, and I invite you to become aware and catch yourself as well. And I thought, oh, okay, well, what do you think you could do, right? That's creative and fun.
I have something that I do also that I trick myself. And huh?
Go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, I'll have a thought in my head, and see, because I think when we come from scarcity, it's thinking that we either don't have something that we want, or we don't have something that we think we're entitled to, or we don't have anyway. It's mentioning what we don't have versus mentioning what we do have. So I get in the habit of coming from a place of gratitude. And I gotta tell you, in the last 6 years, it started 6 years ago when I started being grateful, because I read in several books, we're not naturally grateful. So it's a thing that we have to teach ourselves and learn, or relearn, or whatever you want to call it. But anyway, it's coming from a place of gratitude. So instead of saying, oh, I don't have this, I go, oh, wait a minute, but I have such and such, and I have such and such. And as a matter of fact, if you ever read the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, he also mentions that he would sit down with the guy, and he would say to him, well, what do you have? You have a wife. Oh, you have a job. Oh, you have this. Oh, you have health. Oh, you can see. Oh, you can walk. Oh, you can hear. So anyway, bottom line is, when you start from a place of gratitude, it negates the negativity of lack and scarcity. You're coming from a place of victory. You're not coming as a victim. You're coming from a place of victorious. So that helped me tremendously.
Correct. Yeah. And if you're not familiar with that book, Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, right? One of the greatest books of all time, right? So again, that's the foundation. That's doing inventory. Just figure out, what do you do have? All the stuff you have. We have endless resources, right? So I appreciate everybody participating. Keith, did you want to say something? I think that you were chiming in a little bit. I want to give you the opportunity. All right. So, but nonetheless, so again, I have a bunch of people that are coming down here. And again, with the interest, in the interest of kickstarting, opening doors, making opportunities, making sure that everybody's in a position to win. Like I had talked about, when people are coming down, I'm sharing with them the 3 different types of properties that we're making available down here in Cancun, right? Depending upon how much money you have. I took my buddy down to show him we're going to be buying a house as an LLC. We're going to be setting up 8 investors with $50,000 are going to own roughly an eighth of a $500,000 home, which has direct beach access, private beach, community. You tunnel over to the beach. You can drive the golf cart over. So I'm looking for 8 people that want to come in as investors at $50,000 for that property, and I'm putting together a package for that. Or if you don't have that much money but you still would like to participate, we're going to be picking up probably a $300,000 condo, ocean view, spectacular, probably a 3-bedroom condo with roughly for 300,000. And that'll be for 10 people that come in with 30 grand, right? And then
I'm sorry, I was multitasking, but I'm sorry, but you're piquing my interest. Is that that's a partnership that we will be?
Yeah, it's an LLC. I'm putting just because oftentimes people the usual questions are how do you buy a house? How do you buy a property in Mexico? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? It's like, this is it's an LLC where everybody's just going to be a partner, and I'm here, and so that way, the value in this scenario is. Number one, it gets you into the game. Number two, you don't have to come up with all the money yourself to reap the benefits of the property. Number three, there's appreciation that will come from it. Number four, you'll have access to the property where either if you want to come down, you can stay there while it's available. It's not a timeshare. It's going to be an LLC, but there will be kind of breakdowns where it's available. And if you don't rent the property, if you don't use the property during the window of time, then it can generate money either for the group or for you as an individual. Or if you want during when it's your time, you can rent it out to a friend of yours, or a lot of different options. And then if somebody wants to, they decide I don't want to be a part of the partnership, we'll buy you out like seconds, it's not like we have to sell it, we'll buy it back from you. So you can't lose. And my intention is to get people into the market because this market is freaking exciting and crazy, and everybody that comes down goes, holy shit. Right. And then for somebody who maybe only has 10 grand, we're gonna get a 200 grand condo or a townhouse or something with, again, the same parameters where it gives people the opportunity to have access to the marketplace, have access to a property, and when you're an investor, from a tax perspective, now when you come down here, you fly down here, the whole thing is a legitimate business expense, right, for you. And we can start moving you in that direction, giving you both the tools and the resources in order to win in the finance game. So, makes sense?
Thank you. Yes, it makes sense. That's something I've always wanted to do, be with an investor where we're pooling our money together, not the whole thing, but as a team. Okay.
Correct. You got it. Exactly.
As a team, and then sharing the profits that way.
Amen. And that way nobody's out of pocket too much, and you offset it, you share the profits, and these are new properties, so I'm not concerned about having to renovate or having any surprise assessments or anything like that. That's something that we're very close on. And and again, like the condo that we bought for $38,000, I'm showing people that, and it's like, shit, I want one of those.
I mean, come on now.
And again, those are fine. Is like if somebody wants to come in and they just want to buy a condo themselves for 40 grand, that's fine. There's a handful of those. That there's so much value no matter which tier you're at,
But, and then I have the management and we have you down there, so.
Amen. Yeah, and I am committed to this marketplace, and again, like I've shared with you all, if you live where people go on vacation, that's a good life. Right?
Okay.
Keith, you raise your hand, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, Steve.
Great day.
I would like to set up a time at your convenience to talk about insurance and a trust.
Okay. You want to talk tomorrow? You want to talk Saturday? What's your schedule? Just send me a text message, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm setting up a whole bunch of these trusts for people that are making a bunch of money and they're tired of paying taxes, right? So, and everything doesn't matter where you're at in the spectrum, because what we're doing when we put this in place, this is generational. There's generational wealth, and this is probably the most excited thing I've ever come across outside of entrepreneurialism, because I understand its long-term and inherent values, right? And it's priceless. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, just hit me tomorrow. And let me know when you're available. We'll get you into the schedule, and I'll start. We'll go through the process, and so you understand the moving parts. Once you got that, then it's like, okay, us moving around your resources to make it happen. So,
okay, let's do it.
And Keith, you got to come down to Cancun too. You got to come and play and have some fun. I had one client call me and he says, "Hey, we're coming down, Steve. I want to meet you or meet up with you." And I said, "Okay, no problem. Just let me know." And we were sharing back and forth, and he hit me up a couple times and said, "Oh, by the way, what can we do that's affordable and that? And by the way, me and my girlfriend, we can't swim." He says he was really scared because there's a bunch of water there and I can't swim. How am I going to have fun? And I was, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's what life vests are for." I said, and everybody has fun. It's funny because I spoke to him the day that he arrived and he was here for a whole week and I never heard back from him because they were having too much fun. So that's one of the challenges. So you have too much fun. Alrighty. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then again, I am pulling together an event for the second week in January. Second week in January, those of you who renew your legacy and impact membership, that event will be made available to you for free. There won't be any additional cost for attending. That's going to be roughly 4 or 5 days in January. I don't have it finalized yet. I'm still working on speakers as well as all the content that's going to be covered. But again, the real estate that I'm discussing, I'm going to have all of that packaged and ready to go for January for the event. And my mentor is expected to come down, and I've got a few other people that I'm setting up masters with reference to the trusts, some other companies, as well as NLP specialists. Those are the people that I'm planning on having coming down. So because there's the mind is the key. And then once your mind is aligned, then having the right opportunities and the right people around you. And I guarantee 2024 is going to be absolutely your best financial year, assuming that you plug into what we got going on. I'm going next level, and I invite you all to join us. So, all righty. Thank you all for your time this week. It is absolutely exciting time to be alive and to be an entrepreneur. Thank you again for your trust and your time and your attention and your participation. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, you too. Thank you, Steve.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.